Keep watching to meet one of America's top trial lawyers, Joshua White of Altair Law, as he discusses his involvement in cycling cases. Joshua White is a partner and trial attorney at Altair Law in San Francisco. He focuses his practice on representing individuals in complex catastrophic injury and wrongful death cases. He started his career representing defendants in civil litigation matters involving claims for personal injury, products liability, and premises liability, as well as complex business and real estate matters. He now utilizes the knowledge from the strategies and techniques used by the defense bar and insurance companies during his years as a defense attorney, coupled with his experience representing injured individuals, to work diligently for his clients and maximize the results obtained for them. Joshua has been recognized as a leader in personal injury and wrongful death litigation. Since 2018, Joshua has been selected as a Northern California super lawyer, frequently giving presentations on trial advocacy techniques, and maintains active memberships with the San Francisco Trial Lawyers Association, the San Francisco Bar Association, and the Consumer Attorneys of California, for which he serves on the Board of Governors. Now welcome Joshua White. Thank you for joining us. Josh, I know you're a cyclist and you really enjoy that hobby. Can you tell us a bit how your hobby of cycling has transformed or made you into the attorney you are today?
Happy to share that with you, Paul. First, let me say thank you for having me. As a cyclist, it's a passion of mine in a way that I find lets me not only get some physical activity in a stressful time, but really reset mentally. And a few years ago, I was out on a ride after work and returning to home from a quick ride. And unfortunately, I was involved in an accident. A car pulled out right in front of me. I flew over the hood, flew through the air, landed in the gutter on the other side of the intersection. And I felt, well, if I can walk away from this, I'll be lucky. That experience was really formative for me because it showed me what it was like to be unrepresented when, of course, I had my injury. But then a friend of mine ultimately represented me through my claim. And he's an excellent practitioner and showed me the true value of this practice of representing people that you're passionate about. He was also a cyclist. And so it really opened a door for me to this practice. And is why I focus a lot of my practice today on representing injured victims, but also cyclists.
That's great. And I know that you've recently, I guess in the past 6 to 8 months, had a really impressive $13 million victory that involved a cyclist. Can you tell us a little bit about that case?
Yeah. In our practice, one of our most important considerations in taking a case is not only to provide the best representation possible for our clients, but also to effect positive change by improving safety practices. My law partner and I, Kevin Morrison, we represented 3 adult children of Martin Nealis. He was run over by a large truck and trailer combo while riding his bicycle one afternoon and killed. Mr. Nealis was just on his regular lunch ride near a luxury residential housing development. And one of the truck drivers working at the development who was transporting gravel to the site, he took a wrong turn, took the wrong route out of the development. Instead of making a right turn, he made a left turn and used a roadway that wasn't intended for large commercial trucks and other vehicles. And so as he was driving on that roadway, he passed Mr. Nealis, but his trailer hit Mr. Nealis, struck him, and ran him over. The truck driver didn't even know he'd hit him and dragged his bicycle for blocks through the neighborhood. So the case was not only tragic because it killed Mr. Nealis, obviously the incident killed Mr. Nealis, but it was tragic because his death was so preventable. The developer in that case admitted that the truck driver wasn't properly trained, wasn't properly informed about the correct route to take both to and from the development site. And if the truck driver had been told of the required route for transporting gravel to the site, Mr. Nealis never would have been killed. And so as we worked through the case and got to a point where resolution was possible, Mr. Nealis' 3 adult children shared our conviction for improving safety so that something like that would never happen again for that developer. And so when we resolved the case, one of the terms of the settlement required the developer to change its policies so that every individual working at future developments by that developer was made aware of the proper routes for access to and from the site, so that residential roads near those sites would never be used for commercial travel, of course, that weren't intended for that. And ultimately, the goal was to prevent another tragic death like Mr. Nelis's.
Well, that's hugely important. I hear that so often, and we see it so often. What you hear in public or in the press about plaintiff attorneys is they get all the money. Well, and let's not discount that the importance of that. Mr. Nelis's children and wife have nobody, do not have him in their lives anymore. So that's incredibly important for them to be able to be compensated to replace his income. But also, it's incredibly important the work that you and other plaintiff attorneys do to create positive change. Corporations are a vehicle to make profit. That's all they are. And that's not necessarily bad, but sometimes they cut corners in order to do that. And the only way to force them sometimes to do the right thing and to provide the kind of training is to have lawsuits like this that teach them a lesson from a monetary standpoint, but also force them to rethink how they do business. So that's really great stuff.
Couldn't agree with you more, Paul. I think corporations are important to society. Of course, society would not exist and function as well as it does without corporations. They serve such a valid role. But from our perspective, I agree with you. Oftentimes, corners can be cut, and safety sometimes takes a back seat. And so it's important to us in cases that we litigate that if we can improve safety practices for corporations, we want to do everything that we can to do so.
That's great. I really appreciate you joining us on this topic. Josh, if folks that are watching and listening want to get in touch with you to learn a little bit more about this or cycling law, how can they get in touch with you?
I would recommend that they log on to our website, www.altairlaw.com, and there you can find how best to contact us.
That's great. Thank you for joining us, Josh.
Thank you very much, Paul. Really appreciate it.